Hello and welcome to Football League World TV. This is the EFL Weekend Review. My name is Sam Rook. I'm delighted to be joined by Chris Thorpe and Ben Wignall. Chris, how are we this afternoon?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Looking forward to going through the weekend's results.
Absolutely. And Ben, how are you getting on?
All right, Sam. I've just about got the events of the Kane Prince Foundation Stadium out of my system. Thankfully, it's not on the agenda today, so I don't have to talk about a pretty horrific defensive performance by PNE at the weekend.
Yeah, luckily they're not on the agenda for this afternoon's show, but we got plenty of EFL action to discuss and debate. So we're going to be handpicking some of the better games from the Championship, League One and League Two. So let's get straight into it. First and foremost, if anyone is watching this live show, whether it be on Facebook, Twitter or YouTube, please do send in your opinions, your comments. Were you at an EFL game on the weekend? How did your team get on? We want to hear from you. But there's one place we've got to start on this Monday afternoon, and that has to be at Coventry City. Their unbeaten record at the Coventry Building Society Arena continued on Saturday as they recorded an emphatic 4-1 win over promotion candidates Fulham. Mitrovic put Fulham 1-0 up in the first half, but a second half flurry of goals from the Sky Blues secured a 4-1 win. Victor Gyökeres on the score sheet once again. He scored a brace on Saturday. Ian Maatsen with a lovely finish to score the goal. And then Matty Godden as well scored a penalty for Coventry to win what was arguably the statement result in EFL on the weekend. Chris, we'll come to you first. I certainly didn't see this coming. Did you?
Nah, definitely not, mate. I mean, to beat any team 4-1 is obviously brilliant, but to beat a team of Fulham's quality is outstanding, quite frankly. And yeah, fair play to Coventry. They've obviously been the real unexpected package of the early sort of knock-ins of the Championship so far. And yeah, Gyökeres obviously getting himself on the score sheet again, and just fantastic all-round performance, to be honest. Can't really speak highly enough of them. I mean, you sort of run out of superlatives for the way they've sort of started so far. So yeah, brilliant result, and yeah, totally unexpected, to be honest.
Neil, thanks for tuning into this show. It was what a result for the Sky Blues, and if you're a supporter of that team right now, you must be in dreamland. Ben, we'll come to you. I mean, again, this really did come out of the blue. I mean, first half, Fulham 1-0 up. You're expecting perhaps them to kick on in the second half, but that was far from it, wasn't it? I mean, just how impressed have you been with Coventry in general, and in particular that second half performance on Saturday?
Yeah, very impressive. I mean, with the attacking players that Fulham have got, you would have expected them to maybe kick on in the second half, but it just completely reversed 180, and it was a very quick reaction from Coventry to get them two quick goals to go ahead. And I just think it shows a lot of character from them after losing 5-0 to Luton midweek, which I think no one really expected to happen, that manner of defeat. I just think it's an incredibly, like you said earlier, it's a statement performance. And it just proves that I think teams after about 10 games, you kind of know where they're going to be unless there's a massive either drop off or big results towards the end of the season. But the fact that they've won every game at home in the league this season so far, I think coming back to Coventry, the city after 2 years at St Andrews is a big thing as well. The crowd getting behind them. I think there's another big crowd, around 20,000 again on Saturday. I think that's really helping them. And Mark Robins has got a really good young squad there right now that's flourishing, and wouldn't surprise you to see this form carry on after the international break.
Yeah, I mean, we often talk when each season comes around that after 10 games is when you can start kind of justifying where someone will finish, where a team will finish come May next year. Right now, after 11 games, Coventry find themselves in third position with 22 points on the board. I mean, Chris, do you regard the Sky Blues as genuine promotion candidates from what you've seen so far?
I mean, yeah, it'd be a bit rude for me to say no, to be fair. I mean, they've got quality in all areas. Look at O'Hare, look at Gyökeres, even Godden getting on the score sheet. You know, he's showing that he's still about the place and he's still a player that can be relied on. But the two that have really impressed me has been Dabo and Maatsen, the wing backs. I think they've been superb. Obviously, Maatsen took his goal brilliantly, you know, like a player that would play in a more forward position, but obviously he's quite an attacking player anyway. But yeah, overall, fair play to them. If they can keep the form up after the international break, then I'll be very confident that they could actually reach those playoffs. I think winter will be a testing period for them though, because that's when you get the sort of congestion of games with the FA Cup games coming in as well. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they get on as the season progresses, mate.
Yeah, I guess what surprised me most about this result is the fact that they came into this game off the back of a 5-0 drumming at Kenilworth against Luton. It was a real poor display from the Sky Blues in midweek, but to come again on Saturday and produce a result like that. I mean, Ben, what do you think that suggests? To me, it shows that they've got real character in that team to kind of bring out a display like that.
Yeah, it's a pretty young squad, isn't it? Even the star players like Hamer, O'Hare, Gyökeres are all early 20s, and they just seem to be thriving under a manager that lets them attack. And to come against a side like Fulham, who, even though they've got a few injuries, they've still got a strong defence there, one that's definitely top-end Championship. It just shows that going forward that they're very dangerous, but also at the back as well. They've still got Carl McFadzean there. He's in his mid-30s now. He kept Mitrovic pretty quiet on the day, even though he did, I think it went down as an own goal to McFadzean in the end, but they kept him very quiet. And I think they've got strength all over the pitch. They've got a little bit of depth as well with, Gordon and Walker up front, along with Waghorn and Gyökeres. They've just got the makings of a really strong squad, and they could be the kind of surprise package at the end of the season that challenges the top two and definitely look like worthy playoff contenders right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Neil Littlewood getting in touch with us on YouTube. 3 of our next 4 are away from home, so that will be a huge test. Obviously, Coventry's best form this season has come at the Coventry Building Society Arena, so plenty for Coventry to work on ahead of the kickoff after the international break. We had a few more comments come in. George Harvey, Ian Holloway was not happy at all with a penalty decision on Quest. It appeared that Matty Godden did dive to win that penalty. I mean, Ben, what did you make of it?
Yeah, I don't think there's much contact there. I think they bought it, and if VAR was in the Championship, I think that would have been scrubbed off. But sometimes you get lucky in these decisions, and Coventry did, but it wasn't the penalty that contributed to Fulham's downfall. It was just their defending on the day. It was very sloppy, and they let Coventry in for too many chances.
Yeah, and just finally on Coventry, Chris, Victor Gyökeres, 9 goals now this season, 2 assists as well. I mean, did you expect this sort of impact from the player this season?
Nah, no way. I definitely didn't, to be fair, mate. And it's all credit to him. He's been called up for Sweden as Ibrahimovic's replacement this morning. So, yeah, brilliant for him. And he's just going from strength to strength. And it just shows you that, it doesn't matter how young the player, as long as you put faith in them and give them the game time they need, they can excel, especially at Championship level. So, yeah, no, all props to him. He's been brilliant so far.
Right, absolutely right. Finally, on Coventry, one more comment from Neil. Soft, but you can't dangle a leg like that as a defender in the box. There we go. Right, there we go. That concludes our look at Coventry City. A fantastic win for the Sky Blues as they really march on in the Sky Bet Championship this season. Right, let's look at Birmingham Forest now. The Steve Cooper train continues at Nottingham Forest. He is now unbeaten during his time as manager of the Reds. They secured an emphatic 3-0 win at St Andrews on Saturday. Goals from Lewis Grabban, Yates and Jed Spence secured the win for Steve Cooper's side in what is his second win in a row, and they've gone 3 unbeaten now under the Welshman. Chris, come to you first. This is a really impressive result, isn't it, from Forest, from against the Birmingham side, who have shown real quality at times this season.
Yeah, definitely. To go to Birmingham and score 3 without reply is really impressive, and it just shows how that new manager bounce, if you like, has affected this Forest team. And obviously the Forest fans will be hoping that it continues, and Grabban getting in amongst the goals again is obviously breathing new life into their season. You say season, it's not very far in, but after the start they had, they'll take everything they can get. So yeah, no, Birmingham obviously no pushovers at all. For them to lose 3-0 at home is a bit of a blow for them. But yeah, all good news for Forest moving forwards for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw Steve Cooper deploy that 3 at the back that we saw so often during his time at Swansea. Once again for Forest on Saturday. Figueiredo, McKenna and Worrell among them back three. Ben, I think, is that the kind of system you expect Forest to adopt going forwards? Because it does seem to be working, doesn't it? Especially with them wing backs, Jed Spence and Max Lowe as well.
Yeah, it seems to be working at the minute. I mean, I know when Cooper was at Swansea, he did start with that kind of three. I think it was a 3-5-2, not a 3-4-3, and then he changed to a 4-2-3-1. So he's very versatile in his tactics, whereas Houghton maybe not so. He's a bit more rigid with his 4-4-2, 4-2-3-1. But it seems to be working for him right now. I know Stephen Reid used the same system in his one and only caretaker match in charge at Huddersfield, and it just seems to have clicked since then. The shackles seem to be kind of taken off the players, like the attacking players. You've got like Johnson, Lolly, Zinkernagel. How they weren't performing like this at the start of the season, it's beyond me. They seem to have just fully clicked now, and I can really see him flying up the table. I can't really envisage him getting battered any week at all. It just seems to be a real strong squad, and Cooper's definitely getting the best out of him at the minute.
Yeah, absolutely. Another comment in from George Harvey on YouTube. Jed Spence continues to impress in a Forest shirt. Obviously scored on Saturday, a really nice finish. Do you think Borough will be kicking themselves for letting him leave on loan? Chris, will come to you on that one.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was really bizarre to let such a talented young player go to one of your divisional rivals. Is sort of shooting yourself in the foot in a way. And you think Warnock would have a bit more common sense about him to do something like that. Yeah, just it's a role that he's playing in this Forest team that really suits him. Obviously, being able to get forward from wing back, it sort of really takes the shackles off him a bit rather than playing in the back four. So yeah, I'm backing him to really continue in this sort of current vein of form and really, yeah, well, just prove Borough wrong, to be honest. So yeah, no, really poor decision from Middlesbrough, and I thought that at the time when they signed him, Forest.
Yeah, he's been one of their standout stars in recent weeks. Him and Max Lowe along them flanks coming from the back. Lewis Grabban back on the score sheet. A wonderful finish from Grabban. We know he's got that in his locker. Ben, just how important do you think Grabban can be? When he's in this sort of form, he can be among the best in the league, can't he?
Yeah, I mean, he's in his 30s now, but I don't see why he can't continue to be, one of the top scorers in the division. He's still got a bit of power about him. He might have lost a tiny little bit of pace, but he still clearly knows where the back of the net is, and they've got a lot of competition behind him to play. Is it the two who support him? Like I've said, Lolly, Zinkernagel, Johnson, Mighton. There's a lot of exciting options that he can work with, and he's definitely going to get a lot of chances in this team getting supplied by those four players. So I can only see him getting on the score sheet on a weekly basis now. Like I said, the shackles seem to be off since Houghton left.
Absolutely. Nottingham Forest fans, if you're watching, are you excited about the Reds right now? Where can you see Steve Cooper taking the Reds this season? Do you think a playoff push is a genuine possibility? We want to hear from you. As for Birmingham, after what was a really, really strong start, looking very good at the kind of top end of the table, it's gone a little bit pear-shaped, hasn't it, in recent weeks? 4 defeats from their last 5 games. Chris, are you a little bit concerned with Blues recently? Because it has gone off the boil. Ever since they won 5-0 at Luton, it's kind of gone a bit downhill, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's a strange one, really. A few sort of concerning, like heavy home defeats, really. I can't really put my finger on it. I think maybe it's the fact that they need to get some of the new signings to gel, but obviously Chong's looked bright so far, so maybe they need a few more of their new additions to step up a bit more. And obviously some of the existing players that they already had there, like your Hogans, your Jukowicz's, I can never pronounce his name right, but yeah, I'll give it a go. And obviously Deeney coming in as well. You expect him to be not only a good presence on the pitch, but also in the dressing room. So hopefully he can help turn their results around. Lee Bow is obviously a manager who knows the Championship well. So, hopefully for Blues fans' sakes, it's just a little blip at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose what I find most weird about it is, the team hasn't necessarily changed that much in general from that kind of opening period where they were looking excellent. The 3 at the back, the wing backs and the midfield and the strike. It's not changed all too much. So Birmingham fans, if you're watching, let us know what's going wrong with the Blues of late. Why is the form dwindled? We'd love to hear from you. Right, let's touch on our next game in the Championship. there was a Lancashire derby on the weekend as Blackpool took on Blackburn Rovers at Bloomfield Road, and it was the home side that came out 2-1 winners. Shane Lavery continues his excellent form in front of goal. He scored to put the home side 1-0 up, and Jerry Yates as well on the score sheet to make it 2-0. And then Ben Burton Diaz brought one back, but it was to no avail as the Tangerines won the game. Ben, I guess it makes sense to come to you first, given you are from Lancashire. Albeit not a fan of either of them clubs. You're a Preston fan. But what did you make of this one on the weekend for Blackpool? It's a great result, isn't it?
Yeah, since the international break, the one in September, I was kind of worried for them in August because the results were quite poor. But I think they've won 4, drawn 1, lost 1 since the international break. So reluctantly, I have to give him a bit of credit. Critchley seems to have got him firing. It was his first season in senior coaching last year, and he's obviously got them up, and he's very talented. He was highly rated at Liverpool, and he's getting the best out at the minute out of what's generally a young squad and players who are in the mid-20s who've not really had a lot of championship experience, like Ekpatita at the back. He's been in the lower leagues quite a while. He seems to be flourishing at the minute. Lavery as well, he's an exciting signing, but you have to be concerned probably in being injured. I think he's going to be pulled out of the Northern Ireland squad. And Maxwell as well, he got injured in that, and they've got some big games coming up after the international break. No more important than the West Lancashire derby against PNE a week after they come back. So he seems to have hit the ground running. Be a bit concerning for them if he's out for a little period of time, but obviously we've got Jerry Yates who scored his first goal of the season. I don't know how well them two work together. Obviously, Lavery's been playing up front with Medine the last few games, and Medine's kind of a hold-up player. He brings the other attackers into it. That partnership seems to have worked. Yates might be able to come back in now for a few games if Lavery's out, but it seems to be going well for Blackpool at the minute.
Yeah, 4 wins in their last 6 games for the Tangerines. It does feel like they are slowly, adapting to Championship life. Chris, at the start of the season, Blackpool were touted by many to be kind of down the bottom, fighting the relegation. Certainly from this last 6 games, have you seen enough to suggest that they'll be just fine in the second tier this season?
Yeah, certainly. I kind of feel like they're a bit more equipped than Hull and Peterborough, actually. I don't know what it is. I think maybe it's because the players believe in Critchley's methods that well that they're sort of flourishing, and age doesn't seem to be a problem for them at all. And yeah, I think now that Yates is off the mark, maybe he'll start banging in the goals with Lavery being out. Obviously, he's maybe a bit of a marked man this season because he was so good in League One. Now the pressure is going to be on him a bit more to sort of prove himself once again in the Championship, if you like. I think it will help him coming in though, because as even though he's like similar to Lavery in terms of the type of striker he is, he sort of likes to drift a bit wider. His movements maybe a bit different, so he might sort of give other teams more of a problem than Lavery in a sense. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they sort of cope without Lavery's goals. But yeah, no, I've been really impressed, and I think another player who deserves a mention is Josh Bowler. He's been quality on the right wing. Good signing from Everton. So yeah, no, long may it continue for Blackpool fans' sake, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a shout out Lavery's goal as well on Saturday. I thought it was a fantastic. The way he kind of jinked it in and then jinked it back out to slot it home was really, really impressive. Right, let's touch on another Championship game next. Bournemouth continued their unbeaten start to the season as they got the better of Sheffield United at the Vitality Stadium on Saturday. The Cherries won the game 2-1, despite going behind for the first time this season as Morgan Gibbs-White opened the scoring for the Blades. But Dom Solanke and Philip Billing secured the 3 points for the Cherries as they look pretty at the top of the Championship table. Chris, this is a great result, isn't it, for Bournemouth against a Blades side who many fancied to be up there, didn't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Massive result for Bournemouth. They just keep on going, sort of showing no signs of letting up as well. And obviously Billing getting himself on the score sheet once again, which is fantastic. He sort of added that edge to his game that he didn't really have at Huddersfield and during his early years at Bournemouth as well. So, yeah, they're sort of getting goals from all areas, pretty solid defensively, of course. Scott Parker's just gone in there, and you would have thought he'd been there for a few years, considering the start he's had. But again, he's got a really talented squad and arguably one that should have taken them up last season. So hopefully they can go one better this year.
Yeah, it does seem that they've got a real nice balance in that Bournemouth team now. I think defensively, they've really, really tightened themselves up. Gary Cahill looks like an absolute masterstroke of a signing from what we've seen so far. And obviously, you've got the likes of Ben Pearce and Jefferson Lerma, some real quality in the middle of the park as well. And then, of course, as we speak about most weeks on these shows, the amount of attacking talent that Bournemouth have got at their disposal is quite frankly scary at this level. Ben, I mean, unbeaten start for Scott Parker at Bournemouth, haven't lost a game. They're the only team in the whole of the EFL not to have lost a game all season. Are they the team to beat in the second tier, do you feel?
I think they have to be, considering the only unbeaten team left in the league. I think West Brom were the only other team for the weekend. That record's gone. They've just got like you said, a really good amount of depth everywhere. Even going forward, even though they've not really got a lot of out-and-out striking options. You've got Solanke scoring the goals, but behind him, they've got, Brooks, Christie, Law, Rogers, even Jaden Anthony's coming this season and played really well. So it's a lot for any championship team to deal with all those players going forward and trying to get past, the likes of Gary Cahill, who's done it at the top level for so many years. It's going to be a struggle for anyone to go down to the Vitality Stadium and pick up any points.
Yeah, as for the Blades, that's 2 defeats in a row. It feels like it's been a bit of a stop-start campaign for Jokanovic at Sheffield United. Just when you feel like they were starting to get going, they've been struck with 2 defeats in a row. Chris, would you say that's a fair assessment? It's just not really got going kind of in full flow yet, I feel.
Yeah, it's been really strange, actually. The quality that they've got in that squad, the amount of promotion winners you got in that squad as well. And Jokanovic sort of hasn't really found a way to get the best out of them just yet. Obviously got the international break now, which will be crucial for their sort of preparation. It's not often managers get, the best part of 2 weeks to prepare for their next game. But I think it's some time that he could really use to sort of assess how far they've come so far and just see where the main weaknesses are. But, there's enough talent in there to pick up a run of results and get themselves looking back up the top of the table where, a lot of people would expect them to be. But really strange situation at Bramall Lane. And Jokanovic will certainly be looking to rectify that in the weeks ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Any Blades fans watching, what do you make of the recent form under Jokanovic? Are you confident he can take the Blades back up to the Premier League? Please do let us know in the comments. And also, if there's any Cherries fans watching, just how excited are you about your side right now? Do you think automatic promotion is inevitable this season? We'd love to hear from you. Right, let's touch on our next game. We're going to go down to League One. We're going to start off with Accrington Stanley's win over Ipswich Town. Ipswich came into that game off the back of a 6-0 hammering of Doncaster Rovers last time out Portman Road, but they travelled to Accrington and couldn't get the result. Macaulay Bonne did put them 1-0 up, but goals from Colby Bishop and Harry Pell secured a really, really impressive win for Stanley on Saturday. I guess let's look at this from an Ipswich Town perspective first, Ben. I suppose they'd have expected to come into this game with obviously a lot of confidence after that result against Doncaster last time out, but it just didn't seem to work out for them, did it?
No, I think they'd be very disappointing, but it just shows how tough League One is, even though a lot of these teams have, invested a lot this summer with exciting players just like Ipswich have. They battered Doncaster and only to lose against Aki, and then Doncaster beat MK Don, so it just shows that anything can happen in the EFL. And I wasn't very impressed with Sam Morris's comments. I don't know if you saw, but he said that Accrington play like a non-league team. He said he wasn't being disrespectful, but he did sound a little bit like it. Just made me feel like him and maybe a few of the other players think that teams should perhaps roll over from like Doncaster seem to do. But got to credit Accrington. They've proved themselves the last few years to be a very solid League One outfit, and sometimes you just got to play in other ways to get a result, and it clearly worked for him. If they went a bit more direct than normal, then it's what they had to do to get the win. But I assume Paul Cook must be fuming not to capitalise on that big 6-0 win. You would have probably seen it as a chance to get a decent result up back in the north, but it's clearly a lot more work that needs to be done because it's a big squad and doesn't really seem to have found his settled 11 just yet.
Yeah. I mean, you just have to look at the amount of money that both teams spent over the summer, the sheer contrast in kind of wage bill and kind of expenditure over the summer. And for Accrington to pull out a result like that is no mean feat. But I suppose that's something we've become accustomed to with Accrington. They are kind of a smaller fish in that big pond, but they do churn out some really impressive results and often do compete in the higher echelons of League One. I guess I'll come to you, Chris, just on this one. Do you think there's an element of complacency in that Ipswich Town side? That side is comprised of a lot of players that probably could play in the second tier, but find themselves in the third tier. Do you think complacency is potentially an issue at Ipswich?
Yeah, definitely. I want to watch what I say here, but I think Sam Morsey's comments are quite disgraceful, to be honest. To sit there and sort of think that you're better than another team just because of budgets and stuff like that is not the way to hold yourself as a professional. So, I'm glad he sort of got shot in the foot for those comments, obviously coming off worse against Aki. Yeah, I think there is some complacency there. And, you could say what you like about Ipswich. Their squad is good enough for the Championship. And the start they've made just isn't good enough. Paul Cook knows it. The supporters know it. And they really need to step their game up. Otherwise, there's going to be some changes there because they've got a CEO in Mark Ashton who will expect results from being at a club like Bristol City, who were always looking to get to the next level. So, massive complacency there. And you can't have your players saying stuff like that, to be honest.
Yeah, lots of work still to do for Ipswich Town. You do feel they just have not got going at all this term. Right, let's touch on another League One game next. I think it's fair to say Saturday was a big day for Nigel Adkins in particular. I think it's pretty evident that his job is hanging by a thread at Charlton. They've had a very, very poor start to their League One campaign and came into this game in the relegation zone, and they are still in the relegation zone despite their 2-1 win over Fleetwood Town. Lecco opened the scoring for Charlton, Danny Andrew equalising for Fleetwood, and then Jaden Stockley popped up to secure a winner for the Addicts and what is, I'd imagine, a real relief for Nigel Adkins at the helm. Ben, we'll come to you first. I mean, just how big is this for Adkins and his potential, keeping his job at Charlton, this result?
Well, I think he probably needs a few more wins to get the fans off his back and to get him slightly off the hook. But with the squad they've got and the signings they made this summer, they should really be at the top end of the table, not the bottom end. Maybe they'll start to click now, and perhaps the international breaks come at a bad time now after getting that, first win in a while. They could go on they probably need to go on a massive run now where they can only afford to drop very minimal points before Christmas if they do want them promotion aspirations. Stockley scoring the winner, I can imagine they went kind of back to, a direct style. It worked for them at the back end of last season when I think they only lost one of the last 12 games or something like that. It's not pretty when I've seen it firsthand, Stockley playing for PNE. It's not pretty when you go direct to him, but it can be effective in getting back on the score sheet again. That's what Charlton need, and Fleetwood's a tough place to go, especially on a cold afternoon by the sea. So I think it's a much needed win. It was a good win, and now they just need to get on a run to get out of the relegation places and up the table where they should believe they belong.
Absolutely. Chris, do you think it is imperative that Charlton do go on a run now? This isn't just a win in isolation. This is the start of something positive at the Addicts, do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with Thomas Sandgaard, he seems like a guy who does have a bit of patience and a bit of a thought process about him, whereas there's some owners who are a bit more knee-jerk. But yeah, no, getting that win against Fleetwood will definitely buy Adkins some time. But like Ben says, he's going to need a few more results to sort of get the fans on side. And I think Stockley getting in amongst the goals again is going to be crucial because he looks like their main goal threat once again this season. And I also think we need to see a bit more from Charlie Kirk since he's been there since from Crewe Alexandra. If you can get those players firing, then it'll do them the world of good, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot of attacking talent there that perhaps haven't performed to the levels required just yet. But great result for Charlton and for Nigel Adkins in particular. Right, let's touch on one more League One game this weekend. So a massive result this for Portsmouth. Portsmouth-Sunderland's become a little bit of a rivalry, I suppose, over the last few years, given the amount of times they've played each other in various cup competitions and playoffs and so forth. But Pompey coming into this game having not won in a long time, whereas Sunderland had been on a nice run of form, and you felt like the form books were going to suggest an away win, but it was Portsmouth who won 4-0, a result I certainly did not see coming, much like the Coventry's result on the weekend. I did not see this one coming at all. Goals from Marcus Harness, Lee Brown, and John Marquis scoring a brace, a much-needed brace, I could say, for Marquis, a player who's been devoid of confidence, you do feel, this season in front of goal. Ben, we'll come to you first. I mean, this is a bit of a statement result, isn't it, really, for Pompey?
Yeah, they've not been in the best form in recent weeks, but like I said before, the Ipswich game, it's in League One, anything can happen, and they've not been convincing in recent weeks. And maybe, I don't know if Sunderland were a little bit rattled or not at the conditions, because, you know, they like to play football on the floor, but the pitch at Fratton Point was a little bit like a swimming pool. It was quite bad. But Portsmouth have got quality all over the pitch. Some of their recruitment, even though they've didn't spend any money on transfer fees, it's been pretty smart. You know, the likes of Tunnicliffe and Freeman have got experience in the Championship and a good free agent signings. And when Marquis is firing, he's a top League One striker, and you've got obviously Curtis and Harness supporting him. So I think once Portsmouth are firing, they are one of the top teams in the division. It's a real statement result to show that even though they have had a few poor results, they still mean business at the top end of the table.
I suppose Sunderland coming into this game off the back of a 5-0 win over Cheltenham last time out at the Stadium of Light. I suppose this was a bit of a kick down back to reality, I suppose, Chris, for Sunderland, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Their first real setback of the season, and to lose 4-0 to, you know, probably a team that are going to be one of their promotion rivals it's going to be interesting to see how they bounce back from it after the international break. You know, Lee Johnson's going to have to pick some heads up off the floor and sort of get them firing again. So yeah, it was like the result of the weekend in League One, to be honest, for Portsmouth to put 4 past them, and for Marquis, fair play to him getting 2 goals. You know, he's been through a lot since he's been at Pompey, to say the least. So yeah, no. Oh, fair play to Pompey, but yeah, at the same time, some real questions being asked to Sunderland now after what's been a really good start overall.
Yeah, definitely a kick back down to reality. But like you say, Ben, that second half in particular, that pitch was like an absolute swamp at times, wasn't it? It was a crazy one. But hats off to Danny Cowley and Portsmouth, a much-needed win, a big 3 points against the direct promotion rival. Right, let's touch on League Two next. Forest Green Rovers, they continued their impressive start to the season. They are now 4 points clear at the top of the Sky Bet League Two table. They picked up a 2-0 win away at Carlisle United. Jamil Matt and Nicky Cadden on the score sheet for Forest Green. I suppose them to have been a real kind of key duo in Rob Edwards' start to the season at Forest Green. They've been real key cogs in that team. Chris, we'll come to you. As I said, there's now a 4-point gap between Forest Green and the rest in League Two. Do you expect them to kick on now and really assert their authority in this automatic promotion race?
Yeah, definitely. You know, the start that they've made under Edwards has been superb, and in League Two, I feel like it is a league where anyone can sort of beat anyone, and yeah, it literally comes down to if you can go on a run of form, you'll be right up there. And you know, I kind of expected them to maybe go up last season. Obviously, didn't quite make it. You know, it's been a bit frustrating for them on that front. Always chasing promotion, it seems, since they've been in the Football League. But yeah, no, it's been a great start. I think they've scored like 20 goals, which is the most in the division, and then they've only conceded 8 as well, which is brilliant after 10 games. So yeah, long may it continue. They play exciting football, and they're just a good team to watch overall, really.
Yeah, I suppose when you've got a player like Jamil Matt in the form he's in, there aren't too many better strikers in that division. I think, you could say that he could be playing in League One at a lower end side potentially. Ben, just how important are them players that I mentioned there, Nicky Cadden and Jamil Matt, the two scorers on the weekend? They have been very influential so far, haven't they?
Yeah, I think Cadden down there playing as a left wing back. I think he's been one of the most important players since the start of last season when he came down from Scotland. I think they kept pretty much there or thereabouts the same team as last season when they lost in the playoffs. And I think that continuity is only a good thing. And they've added a head coach who's got coaching experience in the Premier League in Wolves' under-23 system that is clearly getting the best out of them right now. And I think the goals that they can score going forward, they've got goals going through all through the team. I think they scored 6 against Crawley, was it earlier in the season? So I don't think that's going to be an issue. And I can see those goals and hopefully keep a few more clean sheets like they did at the weekend, and they won't be far off the top 3 at the end of the season.
Yeah, definitely an electric start from Forest Green Rovers so far in League Two. They continue to impress. Right, let's touch on one more game in League Two. It was a real cracker at Vale Park on Saturday as Port Vale secured a 3-2 win over playoff rivals Leyton Orient. It was 2 last-gasp goals from Dennis Politic and Jamie Proctor to win the game for Vale. Chris, we'll come to you. That's now 4 wins in a row for Darrell Clarke's side. They're 3rd in the table. It's starting to feel now that the kind of wheels really are in motion at Vale, isn't it?
Yeah, it's brilliant. For me, they've always been a big club that, probably not meeting expectations being a League Two. Obviously, they've been through quite a few managers since they've been at that level and, haven't really gone anywhere. But maybe this could be the start of something special. Getting 1 goal in stoppage time is brilliant, but getting 2 in the sort of manner they did was just incredible, to be honest. And yeah, it really could kickstart a sort of really long run of results now that they've gone like 4 unbeaten, like you say. So yeah, no, it's brilliant result for Vale, and hopefully they can finally start meeting those expectations that the fans have.
Yeah, definitely. I suppose it was the manner of the result was impressive from a Vale perspective, given it was 2 last gasp goals. But I suppose it was the kind of quality of the opposition in this game, Ben, because Leyton Orient under Kenny Jackett so far this season have looked very good, very strong. And for Vale to pick up a result against Orient, who are 4th right now, a direct playoff rival, it's a great result for Clarke and his side, isn't it?
Yeah, well, Orient are one of the fancies promotion with the signings he made, and obviously bringing Kenny Jackett in. So I think Port Vale to win so late like they did with Politic and Proctor scoring, I think they didn't have a great start to the season. They drew and lost a few games. So this winning run they're going on now, and they beat Forest Green as well earlier in the season. So they've clearly got something about them. So I think they definitely, at the minute, they can be playoff contenders. I'm not sure about them as an automatic team. I need to see them against a few other bigger teams, like your Bradfords and whatnot, getting results against them. But Darrell Clarke's clearly doing something right, and Walsall fans are probably gutted that he's gone on to build a solid side of Vale, because they seem to be struggling at the minute. And I can see good times ahead for Port Vale.
Yeah, also nice to see James Wilson on the score sheet. He's had a tough time of it ever since leaving Manchester United as a youngster. He's back firing up top for Port Vale. Right, well, that concludes this week's episode of the EFL Weekend Review on FLW TV. Thanks for all the viewers watching. Thanks for all your comments. Chris, Ben, thanks for joining me this afternoon. If you haven't already, please do subscribe to FLW TV on YouTube. We really do appreciate all the likes, all the shares, and all the new subscribers. But until next time, we'll see you soon.